Hey y'all, welcome to the country where it's just another day in paradise. Let's see what's going on. Labor. Hey y'all, it's Susan with Susan's Country Living. Welcome to the country. It is July 30th, I believe, and we are out in the garden this morning starting to clean up, and we're going to see how well this weed barrier works. I'm going to show you things that are still just jumping and we're harvesting, and then show you what we're doing to clean up and get ready for our fall planting. Okay, so as we enter the garden, I have these eggplant planted, and they were supposed to be Black Beauty. That's what it said on the label, but they are not. I've picked a whole lot of them, but you can see these plants are, they just keep going strong. And this one will get a little bigger here. They get about as big as a tennis ball. Some get a little bigger. And then I have an Asian eggplant that has the long eggplant on them, and you can see that I have harvested a lot of those. And then our peppers, of course. Peppers love heat. Eggplants love heat. Basil loves heat. Our tomatoes here, I've made cuttings to plant in a couple of weeks for fall tomatoes, so these will be coming out of the ground. And our cucumbers, we're harvesting cucumbers for seed. This is the Boston Picklers, and that's what you do. You let them get really, really big, and I'll scrape the seeds out and feed the rest of it to the chickens. They love that. Some people even make pickles, pickled rind, and they'll also use it to make jam or jelly, so I'm not going to be doing that. Got one little watermelon that was about the size of a golf ball last week, and we've gotten a little bit of rain, and it has just plumped up. And my husband, the bearded bee man, he's busy.
Just another day in paradise.
Yes, he is busy taking off the cucumber jungle, and we're going to be planting cucumbers again, but I will be planting them along the fence, because this is where my sugar snap peas are going to go on one side, and on the other side will be a shelling pea. We've got a lot of peppers here. One of them is called mariachi, which is this beautiful pepper here. It's got a little bit of heat on it. We have one that's called Mardi Gras, and I have picked some of those, but they are very similar. There's some coming on to the snacking pepper. Of course, we've got our jalapeno. We've got some purple bell pepper, some red bell pepper, some yellow bell pepper, and then just a Keystone resistant giant. And I've not gotten giant peppers, but regular size peppers. And here is what, if you're wanting to save your okra seeds, this is what needs to happen. You just leave them on. This was the very tip. It wasn't going to grow anymore. And I've already harvested some, but those black seeds are inside this pod. And this is the only okra variety I planted, Heavy Hitter. I got them from Baker Creek Seeds, and it lived up to its name. Now we can see how well our weed block did. We just have maybe a few weeds like crabgrass that came up through a hole there. And I do have some nutgrass coming up, but my husband's going to treat that with a nut sedge killer. And we don't have a lot just in this little corner down here. And you can see that the okra has died, and it is so easy to pull up when you let it die and the roots start to rot a little bit. This is what is shocking. These are speckled butter beans that I planted back in spring. And look at all those blooms. I have a lot of dry pods on there that I pick, and we cook those. Some of them I save for seed. But as you know, here in the Texas Coastal Bend, we have been having a drought and extremely high temperatures, like days and days over 100. And these speckled butter beans, I tell you, I don't know what to say. I've never had anything do like that, grow like this in the extreme heat. Yes, I have watered, but even when it would get dry and I hadn't watered for a few days, no problem, no wilting, nothing. And so I'm going to leave these. And if you've had experience with speckled butter beans, let me know how they did for you. Here we're in zone 9A. So can I leave these in the ground and they'll produce until freeze? I'm going to leave them, but if you have experience, please let me know and comment. My grandparents, they grew speckled butter beans, but I never went over and picked them. We just ate them. Here's Stephen. He's working hard, clearing off this cucumber jungle arch. We've pulled up our zipper cream peas, not zipper cream peas, lady cream peas. They were small and they did not produce as well as the zipper cream peas. I'm going to go back. They're delicious, but And then we have our tomato Juliet over here, and right now, because it's so hot, maybe the blooms aren't setting as well, but I leave Juliet because I know in the fall, when the weather gets cooler, I'm just going to train her down this fence. She will continue to produce. Oh, there's one little weed here, up there. Easy, not used to. By this time of the year, the ground would be covered with crabgrass. What else, Stephen? Johnson grass, goose grass, nut grass, but not. This is wonderful, y'all. I'm gonna rake all this up and we'll take a look at it when we're done. But have you pulled many weeds, Stephen?
No, it's worth the investment.
Worth the investment.
Yeah.
I spent.
The best thing we've done.
Yes, I spent. I think $175 for the roll that I got, and I'll post a link to where we got this from. And I burned holes in it with a little butane torch there. Well, there's a cucumber. The chickens are going to like that. Now I've grown Hawaiian pineapple before. This one's just called pineapple. I think it set one tomato, so it must be for an area that doesn't get as hot, or it could grow in our area just in a regular summer. Not in, the oven that we've had so far this year. This is called Jetstar. This is my first year to grow this one. I got a lot of tomatoes off this. It's kind of looks like a tomato you would buy in the grocery store, and it has a wonderful flavor. I will definitely plant that again. I have saved, I'm going to make some cuttings here. I'm going to make a cutting here. I'm going to go get my loppers here. And you can see this is the tip that's continuing to grow here. See if I can get it where it's not so much in the sun. Okay, this is it's just continuing to grow here. You can see the blooms have fallen. It's too hot. So I'm going to make some cuttings. I stick them in water, and I'll cut it way back here just to carry them inside. But then I'll probably make my cutting maybe 6-7 inches tall. Take the bottom leaves off. I'll leave these top leaves here. It's hard to see in the sun. I'll leave these top leaves there, and the roots will form along the stem. And I've got lots of places I can make cuttings. And next year I'm going to plant a lot of these because they were so productive. Called Jetstar. I watch a homesteading channel, and they planted Jetstar and told how wonderful it was. And they also planted the Juliets. I've been planting those for years. So yeah, this we'll show what this looks like after I rake up all the leaves. I had squash planted here. It's gone. Oh, I do have one tomato over here. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to put it up on the. I got a pea growing up. I'm going to have to trim that, and I got some weeds growing. This is called Yellow Flame, but it was the French name, and it has been setting tomatoes all through the heat. And they get about the size of a golf ball. They are yellow. and they are sweet. They are wonderful in a salad. Toss them in a stir fry. I got these from True Leaf Nursery in Brenham. They come to the Belleville Farmers Market. And I have been saving seeds from this one. So the first Saturday in Belleville, Texas, at the John Bishop Pavilion, we have a farmer's market, and True Leaf Nursery had these in the spring. And I tell you, they told me how great it was, and they were right. I love buying from little local nurserymen. Instead of going to your big box store, you're going to get more variety and a better quality of plant there. So there's some blooms right up there on the top. Of course, we have some blackberries growing into the garden. They've come through some of the holes. We're going to have to work on that. That's one issue that we've had, but we knew we were going to have it because we have this jungle between here and our beehives over there. The bees love me. They like to come and visit me, and yeah, sometimes they get me because I'm in their space. All right, I planted this watermelon way back in the spring, and it has just this one's done well on this side. The soil on this side of the garden is sandier than on the other end because this is kind of a little bit of a slope. Look, I got a little okra. I may cut that back and just leave that little guy right there and see what he does. So we'll take a look in just a minute at what this area is going to look like and how well our weed fabric worked. Okay, so about 2.5 hours later, we've done a lot of work here. This is where all the lady cream peas were, and we got all that cleaned. Still got to work on my tomatoes over there, and probably going to take out 2 of them, leave the Juliet, and grow my fall cucumbers because I don't need as many cucumbers for fall because going back to work, back to teaching, can't keep up with them. So here's our speckled butter beans there, and I found the tag on this tomato that's yellow, about the size of looks kind of like an egg yolk, a little bit bigger. Some of them were. Juan Flame. It's an heirloom, indeterminate, 75 days. It means yellow and then flame is what that means. So I'm just going to set that there. I like to stick my tags there, and then I'll take them in at the end of the season. I do have some blackberries. I trimmed about those back. We're going to be getting rid of those that are next to the garden fence there. So you can see very few weeds. Just pulled maybe 12 from down here, and then Stephen supported. We gave some reinforcement with some hog panel pieces for my arch here that I'll be planting peas on, and I may plant some flowering sweet peas because they're so pretty. And then I'm going to trim those okra heads off, and we pulled out all the okra that was dead. Super easy, came up, no problem at all. Didn't have to dig any, which normally we have to do that because they just keep on growing. But this one, I would call it a determinate, like a tomato. It gets to a certain point and then it stops. Not like the ones that grow 8 feet tall that I've planted before, the Calhorn and some other varieties. So yeah, I am happy with what we did in 2.5 hours, and it's about that time when it's luckily we have cloud cover. But yeah, it's about that time to go in, and the bees are busy. The bees from the beehive, they've not bothered me. I just had one that came to visit me and see who I was. But I spray a mixture of peppermint oil and water. I just have it in a little spritzer. I spray my hat and my clothes, and I did spray my arms this morning, and the peppermint oil is cooling. So yeah. And I'm going to show you, this is the soaker hose we use. I took a lot of it up. It is just a fabric, and on the outside it weeps. The whole thing weeps. I put 2 of them together, and with our water pressure, that does great. I put 4 together, and didn't quite, the end of it didn't quite get as wet as I would like to. So I'll put a link to the my Amazon purchase here. I got 4 of those. Also, I love these timers. They'll run for 2 hours, or you can put a manual on. So I can just leave the spigot on all the time and come out here. I was watering every other day to every third day. I would water half the garden. I'm going to modify that and put a splitter on that timer so I can water the whole garden at once. So I just water half the garden at a time. I'd turn it on early in the morning, and sometimes I would turn it on late in the afternoon so that I got minimal evaporation. And I just ran the hose right next to my holes that I had burned there. So what I'm going to come right in these spots here, these are going to be Roma green beans. I always plant Romas in the fall. I'm going to try fava beans this year. I'm probably going to, I may burn some more holes, or I may leave these, plant them in these holes here where I had green beans and pinto beans. Because the butter beans, when it freezes, they're going to be gone. But the fava beans, what I've read is they are hardy down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and it has never, as far as I know, it got down to 17 during Snowmageddon back in 2021. So we'll see. We'll see how those fava beans do. We love them. They're a Mediterranean bean, and we'll just see how they do. So thanks for working with me in the garden today. And this fabric, I will post a link to where I purchased that. The only places any weeds came through was where the hole was, and early on where these fabric staples are. I would have a little weed pop up in there. I did have a couple of nut grass come through the fabric, but nut grass is very pointy on the ends, but just a couple. So most of them came up here around the edge. This is a spot where I've always had a problem, so I'm going to get Stephen to treat that with some nut sedge killer. And I don't plant anything over here at the edge of the garden, so I'm not too worried about doing that. And I'm going to be getting these beautiful red. Those are going to turn purple, and I cut them into big chunks and I freeze them, and I'm going to be pickling these mariachi peppers. I may just cut them in half and pickle them that way. They're great, have just a little bit of zing to them, and they are great in some chicken or tuna salad. So I hope that you're getting ready for your fall garden. I know a lot of y'all are in your main harvest right now, those that live further north. And I hope that y'all have a great gardening season and a great fall. And those of you that live close to where I am, also a winter garden. Get online. I will post a link where you can find, you put in your zip code and they will tell you what zone you're in, and they will give you the planting dates for when you would plant your seeds, if you and then when they would go out into the garden, and what is best to seed directly in the garden, like your squash and your melons and things like that. They do better, your okra, direct seeding, where your eggplant, your peppers, your tomatoes, your cabbage, your cauliflower, your broccoli, your kale, all of those things you can start early. I'm going to try seed blocks this year, so I'll have a video on those seed blocks and the type of soil that I use. And yeah, I'm excited now. It's all cleaned up. Been dreading it because it's been so hot, but just got to get out and do it. So hope y'all have great rest of your gardening season. Flip this around. And I'm hot and I'm sweaty, but it feels good. I cleansed my pores there. And time for a shower and some water. So drink lots of water, those of you that are having those hot temperatures, and stay hydrated so that you don't get sick. So I'm feeling the headache right now because I know I need a drink of water. So have a great gardening season. Bye, y'all.